Peace. Are you looking for a way to teach your kids about money management and responsibility? Look no further than the GreenLight card. The GreenLight card is a debit card for kids that parents can manage through an app, giving you complete control over where and how much your child spends. With the GreenLight card, you can start teaching your kids valuable financial lessons while earning rewards at the same time. For more information about GreenLight and to get started, please click the link in the show notes below. Thank you.
Malik's First Job Podcast, here to answer any questions that y'all ask. Financial literacy and resources. Parents and young people becoming bosses. CEOs, future leaders, entrepreneurs. Conferences and boardrooms getting sponsors secured. If you want generational wealth, Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip with information to help. Malik's First Job Podcast. Malik's Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Kerwin Phillip. Malik's First Job Podcast. Podcast. Brooklyn's own Kerwin Phillip. Generational wealth.
All right, greetings everyone. How you doing? This is Kerwin Phillip with another episode of the Malik's First Job Podcast, where we discuss leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy for parents and teens. Today, we have another great episode with another great guest. I have Miss J. Diane Parker, who is an author, empowerment coach, mentor, business owner, and community leader. So let's go ahead and welcome Miss J. Diane Parker to the Malik's First Job Podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing well in yourself.
Great. So for people who aren't familiar with, who you are and what you do, can you please share some insight as to all that you do?
Yeah, so we'll start with the author part first, which is self-explanatory, but I am an urban fiction author. And also I just recently released a book, Vibing Through the Shift, which is a women's journal. I felt like I needed to give out, pour out some of my experiences in life to help somebody else, to help another woman, to help another mother, sister, aunt, because I feel like sometimes we feel like we're going alone through different things like that. And as far as like mothering, being a nurturer, still trying to focus on your career, focus on making sure the household is straight, and sometimes making a lot of sacrifices. So I wanted to put that out there and also talk about my personal experience with depression, heartbreak, forgiveness. Those things can be kind of hard. So, and also in the book, I have where you can actually ask yourself some questions and answer those questions at the end of each chapter. Sometimes we don't need a room full of people. We don't need people to have input on what we're going through. Sometimes we just need somebody to be present. And sometimes we don't need anybody to be in the room, but we just need a way to release it. So that's why I wanted to write Vibing Through the Shift. That way people can, women can feel comfortable. And also young ladies can feel comfortable expressing what it is they may be going through, because everybody don't have somebody to talk to. So that was the main reason why I wrote Vibing Through the Shift, which is available now on Amazon. So y'all please go and get that. As far as the community leader and mentor, I think those work, and empowerment coach, all those work hand in hand. I do a lot of community service, which is for the youth mainly, and for females. I feel like the youth right now, the time has changed.
Okay.
So it's not like when I was growing up, hey, a group of friends can go and ride the bike somewhere, maybe to a recreational center or something. Come back, no problem, no cell phones or anything. Now, you really can't just go and ride off somewhere and then come back, because you might not make it back. So
Right.
you have that to take in consideration now. You have a lot of young parents now. You have a lot of young people that are just going through different changes in life. Depression, I deal with a lot of kids that say they have, they feel like they're depressed. So I felt like I said, well, I want to be able to do something to give back, to pour into them, and because they are our future. So
Right.
what I started, doing these summits and things like that, where I have older people come and mentor them, talk to them. Um, Actually, I had one yesterday for the young men. Something simple as learning how to tie, learning the toolbox, learning how to change a tire, things like that that they can carry on and take with them. They can take those skills and use them later on in life. So that was the
Right.
goal of that. Community service, as far as giving back, feeding the homeless. I enjoy all of that. People
Okay.
are my passion. So whatever I can do to help
Right.
another, that's just naturally me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of how did you get started, I guess, in this working with young people?
So actually, that started by me watching the behavior of my son. Not a bad kid or anything, but when I say behavior, I'm talking about his emotional state. I noticed that he was asking me certain things. His father's been incarcerated off and on most of his life. He's 13 now, and he would come and ask me certain things like, "Well, mom, do you think this, or why that, or just questions about his father's actions, um, things about friends, and it's just it was a lot of stuff that was coming into play. Some things I could answer, some things I couldn't answer. So I
Right.
said, well, you know what? Let me see if I could put him in a room with some men that are seasoned, experienced in life, that have been through some things that can help him. And when I started to see that, I said, I got to do something. As a woman, as a single mother, sometimes we think that we can raise a man. Yes, we can definitely let them know how to be sensitive. We can teach them how to do those things, open up the door for a young lady, how to treat a lady. But we can't teach him how to be a man, so to speak. So I felt like I needed some mentors in his life. And after watching him, it's like, oh, he invited his friends, and then you see that other kids need, mentors in their life as well. So I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. Try to put something together for the young people. Try to be
Right.
consistent with it so they'll have something to look forward to. Also, in my area, over half of the brown babies in my county suffer with depression.
Right.
That's just the kids. They don't have nothing to do with the adults.
Hmm.
That's in the school system. So that says a lot. Um,
Yeah.
it's time for us to, us adults to start stepping up and, whatever we can do to pour into that young person. Necessarily, it don't take a long time. I've had students call me, after speaking at the schools and stuff. I have students call me, say, Miss Parker, I just need to vent to somebody. You know,
Hmm.
at the end of the call, they're like, "Oh, well, thank you so much for listening." Sometimes we don't always have to say, "Hey, I think you should do X, Y, Z." Sometimes the
Hmm.
person just need an ear; they just need your presence.
Right.
So that's why that was important to me.
Yes, yes, yes. So why do you think, I guess nowadays, there's such a high rate of depression amongst teenagers?
Well, I feel like peer pressure, social media is a big influence. A lot of kids are trying to fit in with
Hmm.
what they see and not
Right.
the reality of it. It's just like if I maybe win some money or something. You see me go
Right.
and post it all over Facebook and Instagram, flashing money, and it could just be my paycheck. But
Right.
I'm I'm giving the narrative that, oh, I got it like that. And
Right.
when people see that, they're like, oh my God, I want to do that. I want to be like that. Um,
Mhm.
then start to create their own assumptions of how that person may have gotten the money. And then you have music that influence a lot of things. Influence. You could tell a child to do, hey, go put that right there, but they see you go and do something different.
Mhm.
So they're gonna do what they see. You could tell them, sometimes you can tell a child something till you turn blue in the face, but they actually see whatever you're doing. That's what they're going to do. So I feel like the social media, the music now, we don't really have the older grandparents now to
Mhm.
really, I know grandparents that are probably around my age. So I'm thinking like, okay, I don't know. My grandma had about 10, 15 people at the house, grandkids at the house. Y'all going, everybody dressed up, getting their face greased, going to church on Sunday morning.
Right.
Um, Everybody eating, regular food, whatever you could put together. Now it's so much, they see so much glitz and glam.
Right.
And I feel like the pressure from that is like, oh, I want to be like that.
Right.
So they try their hardest to fit in. And if they don't fit in, you have other kids that will make them feel like they're awkward for not having this type of shoe or this type of clothing and stuff like that. So I really feel like, social media, a lot of that plays into it. The
Hmm.
music we listen to now, well, that they listen to now,
Right.
um, heavily heavily influenced as well.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like that contributes to that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I often tell people that, like social media, like TikTok, Facebook,
Mm,
Instagram, that people, it's often people's highlight reel, right? People
yeah,
don't talk about the struggles that they go
yeah,
through. Like I said, the example which you just spoke of, they'll show the paycheck, but they don't show the 40 hours that it took them to earn that paycheck,
right.
right? So, you see people on vacation, they doing it up and everything like that, and I think even some adults struggle,
Yes,
with the aspects and the influence that comes from social media because they feel that they're not up to, as people say, keeping up with the Joneses,
yeah,
right? You know, Before it was just your next door neighbor, but now you're dealing with people across the country that you're looking at, on a regular basis, right?
hmm,
Yeah. So I think it's great work that you're doing to kind of bring these children together, to try to help nurture and mentor and get them in the right direction because, um, and as you also mentioned, the the family structure is somewhat fragmented. It's not the same how it used to be. So I think nowadays it's we have to take more of a village approach, right?
yes,
Where we got to kind of step outside of our immediate households and extend out, to other kids. I think they definitely need it.
yes,
You know,
absolutely.
yes, and um, recently, we had an incident here in Richmond where a young man was shot at his graduation. You know, and I think one of the issues that takes place, within our community as well amongst teenagers, is knowing how to handle conflict. Is that something that you see when you work with with the teenagers that you work with?
Absolutely. First condolences to the family of
Yes.
the man. Um, we're I don't know them, but I'm praying for them.
Right.
My contact will be available if anybody needs to just talk, vent. Anybody affected by the situation, just because it didn't happen to you directly, it happened to
Right.
you emotionally. So I'm available for that, and my condolences as well. I do feel like um, handling conflict now, it's easier to just go and hurt somebody else and be done with it. I remember growing up and hey, you got into a dispute with your brother or somebody like that, and hey, mama tell you come over here, give him a hug. Like, God, what? You
Right.
know, so when you go to school and something happens, oh, y'all shake each other hand, you get into an argument or something like that. And usually back in the day, kids would just, you know, they'll fight one day and be playing the next day. Now
Right.
it's more personal. I've seen it from younger children on up to kids that's approaching adulthood. Now, conflict is almost like I have to prove myself, you know
Right.
and then you have a lot of people where it's mental illness is not being addressed either,
Right.
especially in the Black community, because we feel like, oh, if we go and sit down and talk to somebody, it's a problem. They don't want nobody to really know what's going on, or they want to handle it handle it themselves, and it causes them to end up hurting somebody else. So I think that mental illness needs to be addressed. A lot of time I've heard older people say, what happens in this house stays in this house, or there's things under the rug. But if you see something don't look right with a family member or something like that, they seem disturbed, I would definitely say, hey, it doesn't hurt to go talk to anybody. I suffer with depression, which is a mental illness. People, they say, oh, it's depression, as if it's in a class all by itself, but they're still classified as a mental illness, because they still can prescribe drugs for you, to make you have stable emotions. So
Right.
it's still a mental illness. It's very unfortunate, um, but I wish that people would stop and go back to that village.
Right.
That makes a difference, because when people have somebody to sit down and talk to them, um, even in the school system, there is different. You used to sit back down, sit down and talk to a teacher, chat with a teacher about something that's going on. But now you have a lot of teachers that they're under stress,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
so much that's happening in schools.
Right.
So you're really thinking like, okay, well, who can I really talk to? So when you find mentors, find pastors, men that and that you've watched and you've seen do positive things, all those people can be a mentor. It doesn't have to be somebody who's went and got certificate, got a certificate for mentoring or something like that, because that's what I did. But
Mhm.
I think that having people to talk to, structure that village, that's the best way to start learning how to handle conflict.
Right. 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 Yeah. Because because as you mentioned, it's a big issue taking place within our community, and I think having the elders, to be able to seek that wisdom from and say, okay, well, how do I handle this, right? And
Mhm.
as you mentioned, before we had an adults, like let's say there was a conflict in the neighborhood, like the older guys like let's say we on the block and we had two guys that had beef, they'd be like, look, y'all go and fight it out.
Right.
Once y'all done, y'all shake hands and okay, it's over now, it's squashed, and then y'all move on, y'all shake hands, and everything is done. But you all had the opportunity to kind of, whether it was a physical fight or whatever, you got it out. Y'all good now? Now
Yeah,
let's move on. Right. And
right.
I don't think the kids have that now, where they have that, they don't have that guidance. Like some children have it, but others don't.
Right.
To get that knowledge and wisdom to understand, okay, this is how you handle things. And you fight, but then you fight with your hands, and then you
Hmm.
move on to fight another day,
Right.
right? But now today, people want to grab the guns and do
Yes.
all this other stuff, and then once that happens, you have lives that are ruined, right?
Hmm.
And I think I'm thinking to that incident, at the graduation, because it's not just those two individuals or those two families. You had other people that were present that had
Right.
nothing to do with that particular the problems that those two guys had with each other. Right? You had children there, adults, elders, and think about the trauma in which they're experiencing as a
Yes.
result of what happened that day. So, and as you mentioned, like a lot of us don't seek out that therapy.
Hmm.
Like we just sweep it up under the rug and just try to move on, without seeking assistance. But I
Right.
think it's important that we do, because that stuff gets bottled up and it gets channeled in a different way,
Hmm.
and has a
And then
major impact on
help.
us.
We all need some kind of help with something. Whether it's yard work, something as simple as that. You may
Hmm.
need help with that. So I think people are looking at mental health being like all the way, oh, that's the worst thing, I don't need no help with that, but that's the most important thing that you need help with. Everybody needs a little help with something. So I don't think people really understand that it's not okay, you can't handle everything by yourself. It's okay to get help, it's nothing wrong with that. you know
Right.
e- Even when you starting a career or working towards a business or something like that, you may need some assistance, to get
Right.
some hey, can you help me out? Or I don't know how to do this. I get people all the time that's like, hey, can you help me? I want to get started on writing a book, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and to me, I'm like, wow, I love that. But then when it's something more challenging or detrimental to them, people don't ask for the help. And it's like, okay, me, I'm gonna ask for help, whether it's, hey, how I write this or whatever. That's
Right,
just the type of person I am. But I definitely, if you need help, seek help.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. So, and I guess, with the kids that you work with, have you seen a change, as they've been working with you, or you've
Yeah.
been working with them?
Yeah. Um, the thing though that really feel like is, how should I put it? That I think that the kids, they respect me,
Hmm.
um, which I love. But the part that bothers me a little bit is like, hey, if I'm walking somewhere, hey, Miss Parker, or oops, I said something, I'm sorry, Miss Parker. But then they'll walk right past their parent and be
Hmm.
disrespectful, but they won't apologize to their parents. So that right there kind of like, it's like, okay, I see what's happening here. So, but there has been changes. Um,
Hmm.
I've been getting good reports from the ones that normally, call me on a consistent basis. Ones that I check in with every week. Sometimes, they'll shoot me a text message if something's going on or they just want to talk. I find that to be, that's growth, because especially when you dealing with kids that don't really want to open up, and that takes time. A lot of people don't just open up to, people about any and everything. So
Hmm.
for them to take the time and open up and start, send me a text message, hey, Miss Parker, hey, this is what's going on today. Um, had one, I think it was about 1 o'clock this morning.
Wow.
At the text, and she's like, hey, Miss Parker, how you doing? I'm like, why are you up? Because it's late at night. I'm supposed to be up, not you. you know.
Right.
But I've seen growth. I've seen change, positive change. It's still more work to do. I went
Right.
to a summit yesterday, and it was amazing to see the smiles on the young men's faces,
Hmm.
to hear the stories, and they're like, we see on TV, it looked like this.
Hmm.
But to actually hear it firsthand from somebody who experienced going to jail, who experienced losing everything, that was like a eye opener to them, because they see on TV, where it's
Yeah.
totally different. But actually going through that reality, and them actually hearing it firsthand, you could see it woke up a little thing, woke up something in them. And I'm so grateful. What I do is not easy all the time, because you're
Right.
dealing with a lot of different emotions, different backgrounds. You don't know, even like behavior is different. If they're so
Hmm.
used to being, disruptive, then that's what they're going to go to. But it
Yeah.
takes time to work with them, and they'll see how you operate, and they'll see how calm you are. You get whatever you put out there is what you'll receive. And
Yeah.
if you give positive energy, you give that caring spirit, then children are going to see that and they're like, whoa, okay, I'm not used to this. So I'm enjoying seeing the change. Of course, there's more work to do. I feel like there's more work to do now than ever. This is just like back in Richmond, at graduation, a time where
Hmm.
people should be happy and celebrating, and such a tragic incident happened. Um, so that's why I say it's still more work to do,
Right.
with our young people.
Malik's first job, Financial Principles for Teens, is an excellent resource to get your children started on understanding the basics of financial literacy. This book, which is set in Brownsville, Brooklyn, about a young man who gets his first job and then shortly thereafter sits down with his dad to learn how to manage his money. There are several topics that are covered within this work, such as paying yourself first, disciplining your spending, knowing the difference between an asset and a liability, creating multiple sources of income, as well as the importance of being charitable. So, again, if you want to get your children started on understanding finance and becoming responsible adults, we highly recommend that you purchase the book, Malik's First Job, Financial Principles for Teens. So please visit maliksfirstjob.com to get more information. Peace.
Right. So just real quick to kind of touch on something you said earlier. You mentioned that, when the kids get around you, they act a certain way. They show a certain level of respect. But then when they get around like other adults or maybe their parents, they don't show that same level that they show you. Why do you think that's the case?
Okay, so I feel like if they feel like if the parent doesn't require that respect or demand that respect, then the child will feel like they have to do it. But in my household, you're going to respect me because I'm the adult, you're the child.
Right.
Everybody teach their kids different. Some people now, I've seen, the kids have told it, my mom and dad don't care what I do. That's a problem. As a parent, you should always care what your child is doing. Um, you should always be concerned with the decisions that your child is making. So when my son, sometimes he's like, "Oh my God, mom, you so hard on me. You so hard on me." Even his friends, they're like, "Oh my God, his mom don't play. His mom don't play." And it has nothing to do with just like as far as like disciplining him physically or anything like that. It's just that, hey, it's boundaries.
Right.
I feel like kids need that and they want boundaries. They want structure. Um, in a sense, because they want to know, hey, when I get up, this is what I need to do. Um, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this is the type of chore I need to do. Kids want structure. They want to know that they have something to do. Um, when they feel like they don't have they're not required to do anything. Um, as far as something big as respect, that's a big issue, but I require it. I talk to them and I let them know this is how you handle yourself, and this is what I'm going to accept, and this is what I'm not going to accept. Once that parent established that with their child, then I'm sure those changes will start to happen. So that's when you start to think, well, okay, is it the youth that really have the problem, or is it the parents? You see what I'm saying? So I feel like the youth has, once they reach a certain age, they have already developed their behavior style, behavior pattern and everything. So you have to kind of catch the parents. The parents have to take advantage of things too, parenting classes, or support groups. If they need help with coping with different things or handling behaviors, and it's smart start while the child is younger, because once kids get 13, 14 now, it's almost like parents are like, oh, they can do whatever they want. Mine's 13 and he's not going to do whatever he wants. So it makes a difference in the parent too, as well. The parent has to be firm, not mean or anything like that, but just firm. Stick with discipline. If you have to take something away, take something away. My son know I take his game in a heartbeat, and he'll be sitting in the room looking out the window. Yes, this is not what we're doing. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's talk about your book. So tell us about your book again.
So it's the one I just released. It's Vibing Through the Shelf, and that's it's sort of like a self-help book, for women.
Right.
Because in the book I have different topics: heartbreak, depression, talking about forgiveness, being attached to the wrong people, trying to be accepted by the wrong people, knowing who you are, battling with who you are, and your purpose in life. Um, and then I have questions to ask yourself at the end of each chapter. I want to gain bookings from this book, because I want to be able to actually go and speak and talk about the different topics. A lot of people don't know that I went through depression, that I went through losing burying my first child on my own, and that led me to depression. After postpartum depression, I went to being addicted to the medication that they were giving me. I went to being an alcoholic, driving drunk, a lot of different things. People don't know my story. And I wanted to give bits and pieces of my story and to share my experiences on some things, tell people how I overcame them. And I
Okay.
want to get out and talk about it because a lot of people are going through pain and they feel like they by themselves. Going back to social media, people will post happy face, all the good things, but they don't post the struggle, how you had to get it out the mud, how you had to go through so many different things from being homeless to hungry to, hey, I've been there,
Right.
so it makes a difference when somebody can relate. When you talking to people, like you feel like, well, for me, I know I've talked to people and it's like, they looking at me like, what is she talking about? Because I feel like
Mhm.
they're all the way up here, the way that the, I guess the energy that they're giving is like,
Right.
I'm up here and she's talking about something that's beneath me,
Right.
so some people are not going to, they're not going to cling to that. They're not going to open up to that. They're not going to really talk about what they're going through if they feel like you're giving off that type of energy. So that's why I want to get out and talk about this to women, support groups, young
Mhm.
ladies. It doesn't matter. I just want to get out here and share my story with different people. I wanted to stick with the urban fiction,
Mhm.
doing my little, spontaneous stories and everything, which
Mhm.
I am going to get back to that because I'm actually working on my third published book. But
Okay.
right now, I want to get out and talk to people now about different things that I've been through. It's needed. Um,
Right.
the it's things are happening so fast
Yeah.
nowadays.
Right.
Changes are happening so fast. you know
Mhm.
So I'm trying to get in where I can fit in. If I can go and speak to a group of young ladies at the school, then hey, that's where I'm gonna go. So book me,
Right. Right.
get my
Right.
information, and I will be gladly to come out and speak. Depending upon the location, I may
Mhm.
have to charge a fee or something like that, and that'll just be for transportation.
Right.
But sharing my story, I do that for free. You know,
Okay.
there's no price tag on that because I feel like, not to be religious, but if God hadn't hadn't saved me
Mhm.
from so many bad things that has happened in my life, um, I, let me tell you, I'll be a mess. But I'm here so I can share my story, help somebody else overcome their issues, relate with women that have been through, even young ladies, things when I was 16, 17, you thought you had friends, get dropped off somewhere, you by yourself. And, young ladies, it's happening. It's happening in the world. So I want
Mhm.
to share my story, how I overcame, how to not put yourself in those positions. Number
Right.
one, sometimes we can, I grew up in a household, both parents, um, church. We seemed like we was at
Mhm.
church every day of the week. My God,
Mhm.
um, eating packed lunches at church, everything. So it
Yeah.
was like, oh my God. So then when I got grown, well, 16, 17, I started
Mhm.
to be curious of what's going on in the world, and it happens because young people,
Yeah.
we get ready to go out to adulthood, we curious of what's happening.
Mhm.
But I heard this old saying, curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be curious, but don't be too curious, that you
Mhm.
want to go out here and just experience everything and get yourself caught up in something that you can't get out of.
Right.
So, but that book, Vibing Through the Shift, I know so many women are going to be impacted by it. So many women are going to gain so much from that book. They're actually going to be some releasing just by those questions. Those questions going to make them think, and they're going to be able to release some things, maybe some things they've been holding for years. Um, I know something that's what it took for me. We used to keep
Right.
diaries back in the day. Well, maybe not the boys, but the girls, we kept diaries back in the day,
Mhm.
and we jot down certain things. And I feel like people have gotten away from, if they can't talk to anybody, then they have to keep it bottled up. Release that,
Mhm.
write it out, you know. That's something I learned as well. Being an author, sometimes you have to just write it out, ball it up, throw it in the trash. You know what I mean? In your
Mm-hmm.
mind, you thinking, okay, I done got rid of this. You know,
Right.
for some people, that's how it works.
Yeah.
But I definitely say that this is vibing through the shift it's a game changer. It's definitely going to open up some women eyes. I'm looking for some of them to break through and be freed from some things, free from some people that they may have been attached to, freed from not wanting to forgive, free from knowing their purpose, everything. So I'm just looking for a wonderful outcome from this book. It is available on Amazon. Diving through the shift, y'all. By Diane Parker. Please purchase and get your copy. I also have a book signing coming up too. If you're in Lawrenceville, Virginia, it's going to be at the Bronson County Public Library. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the 24th of June. June
Okay.
4th at the Bronson County Public Library. I'm going to have my book signing for Vibing Through the Shift. So purchase your book and bring it to me so I can sign it. Now, I'm going to try to do Pittsburgh, Virginia soon now. But if not, look, I'm going to be there.
All
There.
right. So, well, can you spell it out for people? Like you said, vibing through the
So
shift.
let me spell it out because it's vibing without the G. VIBIM B VIBIN apostrophe. That's vibing through the shift. The
Okay.
vibing is the only thing spelled a little different. Is VIBIN apostrophe, and then it's the shift.
All right. So let me go ahead and put this on the screen for everybody who wants to look it up. He says it's available on Amazon.
Yes.
Any place else other than Amazon?
Just for me, if you want to purchase a copy from me, yeah.
Okay.
But you have my website. You want to go on there, um, and purchase either book. Go to my
Okay.
website. Yep.
All right. So, and what's your website?
It is www.jdianeparkerllc.com.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and actually on my website, you can actually get to see the pictures of different things that I do in the community, the mentoring, the group, how it's set up, um, the different companies and stuff, agency organizations that I reached out to and assisted, the community activities, the community give backs, the feeding the homeless. You'll get to see all of that on the gallery, on the homepage. If you like to donate to the cause that whether it's the summits to pay for the refreshments and things like that. Sometimes we need items like we needed neckties, tools and stuff like that for yesterday's summit. So whatever is donated goes back into whatever I'm doing for the community. Whether it's to buy something for the give back. Um, I make my money off of my books, off my writing
Okay.
work. So that's how I take care of myself and my family. And sometimes maybe I have to take care of a couple other little babies, that I've
Right.
adopted in the community. But for the most part, that's where I make my income. But whatever is donated, I'm able to put back into the community. Just like I did a prom, so I'm gonna tell you about this. I did a prom event for the seniors. So what I did
Okay.
was had dresses and suits for the seniors who couldn't afford to pay for everything for prom, because you got your yearbook, you got your senior dues, you want to do your
Mhm.
senior trip, your pictures and class ring. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And so, well, this will be a great way where parents can, save some money. So I reached out to some barbers, hairstylists, nail techs, makeup artists that was willing to donate their services for free to those
Okay.
singers. And I got a building space. I didn't have to pay for that because of what I was doing. So she's like, "Hey, let's go ahead and do it." And it was amazing.
Wow.
I had refreshments. The building was packed all day long. I had enough donations to come in that I was able to give those young people a ride and a limo to prom. So
Nice.
it makes
Nice.
a difference. The donations, you actually see where it's going. Sometimes people are cautious about donating because they're thinking that people are pocketing. I find myself, sometimes like, I don't know, is they doing the right thing? I don't
Right.
know,
Right.
but it makes a difference where you can see where the money is going. Because I'm not a nonprofit, so it's everything that you see I do is based off donations because I'm not a nonprofit. So it makes me happy to see the smiles on the kids' faces when you can
Yeah.
do things, even to the homeless. It makes me smile just to see their faces, like, oh, you thought about us, and that's what a lot of them say. Thank you for thinking of us. So I
Right.
show up for them.
Nice. 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 So for those that want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at Diane Parker. You can also find me on Facebook at author Diane Parker. And I have a YouTube channel as well, and that is J Diane Parker LLC. Y'all can go and subscribe there. And look, just keep up because I have some exciting things that are starting to happen. I have my first business trip to Atlanta this month, the 22nd. I've been asked to come on a live talk show. I will be a guest along with a celebrity guest. I can't give that information right now, but I will be
Okay.
releasing it on June 22nd, so y'all will know where I'm at, so y'all can tune in, okay? But
Nice.
I'm definitely just trying to get out here so I'm able to be in a position to help other people. Again, people are my passion, so whatever I can do to be assistance, whether it's just give you a hug or whatever.
Nice.
That's just who I am. And when people see you have the heart for it and it's not a front, a lot of times people would just they'll draw to it.
Yeah.
Um, and that right there, I can get along with anybody. I be strangers all the time, and they like, "Oh, you so sweet." I feel like I can tell you anything. And let me
Mhm.
tell you, people tell me their business and everything, and I'm like, Lord, let me help them out a little bit. Give them what
Right.
I know, whatever I don't know. I'll be honest and tell them, look, I don't know how to, I don't know how we can get through this, but I can work with you and try to talk to you about it. Yes, I'm not out here charging fees just to talk to people and stuff like that. People's like, oh, you're a coach. Is there a fee for that? And no, it's no fee. It's no fee
Right.
to empower people because I needed somebody to empower me. I needed somebody to encourage me at some point. I still need people to encourage me sometimes. Sometimes I get down too. We
Right.
all have a bad day. So no, it's no fee for none of my services. Besides, if I have to go and speak somewhere that's farther than I can afford to go,
Right.
that's the only time I'll really be charging a fee. But other than that, what I'm giving is from the heart.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. But thank you for
Thank you.
taking the time, to talk with us today and sharing your experience, also sharing about your book as well. And I,
Yes.
wish you all the best with your platform and hope, it grows to, you know, remarkable standards.
Yes. Look, and hopefully I can get back on here and let you know my experience in Atlanta.
Okay. Okay. We can make that happen.
Yeah.
Make that
Yeah.
happen. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Great. All right. So, thank you again for joining us,
Thank
on the
you.
podcast. And thank you all for listening today and watching. All right.
Thank
So, another great episode of Malik's First Job podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Hit that notification bell that we can get, all the notification when new episodes are released. And we see you all next week. Peace.
you.
Generational wealth.